What's up, YouTube? Hello. I I just wanted to give you guys a rundown of the gear that I run for competition and why I run it. So a lot of the things that I run is because I want to give myself the best chance of winning as possible, especially among competitors here in Texas. They're some of the best in the nation. Um, so if I can eliminate as many variables as possible, that will give me the best chance of winning. And if my gear runs flawless, that means if there's any mistake, it should be because of me as a shooter or because of the environment, possibly. So, anyways, a lot of what I run is because I feel like they're some of the best in the industry. Everybody's got their opinions on what the best gear is, but for me, this is what works for me. There's a disclaimer. These are my personal opinions and preferences. So you may have a gear that works well for you, and that's amazing. Stick with what you got and what you're comfortable with. Anyways, we can get started. First thing, I think my favorite feature of this rifle is the foundation stock. John Kyle and Amy Truitt from Oklahoma are amazing people, and they have Christian values, and I just love this foundation's interior stock. The finish, the weight is perfect. It is a little butt heavy, so I added this weight kit in the front from John Ross. I think it weighs 1.5 pounds, so it allows me to balance the rifle on the barricade. Next up is I guess the barrel action, so we can go there. This is chambered by DI Precision, and which is the company that I shoot for. Basically, it's a proprietary chamber. Even David hasn't told me what he uses to chamber these barrels, but it's a Krieger barrel with an MTU profile. It's a 22-inch barrel. If you order from Voodoo, I think they only allow up to a 20-inch MTU, and then they allow the Kukri barrel to be the Kukri profile to be 22-inch, but it's a little bit skinnier, or it weighs a little bit less than the MTU. I prefer the MTU just because of weight. I want to be able to just rest my rifle on a bag and let it be stable. I'm a gamer, like most of you guys are. Anyways, so this is my barreled action. I run a Trigger Tech. I got this from David Lott from DI Precision, and this is the company I shoot for. So I did, as a disclaimer, I did get a discount in buying this rifle. The scope I'm running is a zero compromise 5-27 with the Impact 3 reticle. The Impact 3 reticle looks very busy on paper. I don't know if you can see that, but I love this reticle. It doesn't look as busy as it looks on paper or on the internet. If you look at it in person, like, it's perfect. I can see my splash, I can see my trace. The glass on this scope is just phenomenal. There's two main, I believe there's like two main glass companies that are the best in the world, and that's either Japanese glass or German glass. I forgot what the Japanese glass is called, but the German glass is called Schott. I think that's the right way to pronounce it. And it's just some of the best glass, or the best glass I've ever seen. And I'm kind of biased towards the Zico. I've never owned a Tangent, but I feel like the Zico is very rimfire friendly because it goes down in parallax to 25 yards, and I can get up to 35 mils of elevation with a 36 millimeter tube, which is super helpful if I ever shoot ELR, which we do sometimes here in Texas. Anyways, let's move on to I do have the spur mount on there. I'm a quick detach person, so I would like to I got the quick detach version. spur mount and just a one-piece mount. I just want to, again, my main goal is to eliminate as many variables as possible, and I feel like the spur mount is the best mount that I can get. Again, that's just my opinion. But next up, I have this Loophole Delta Pro, and some of you guys probably asking, why would you run a red dot? First off, I don't use it to shoot off of. I mostly use it for quick target engagement. Quick target acquisition, and then after I point the red dot in the general direction of the target, then I look down in the scope, especially if I'm running high magnification, which I tend to. I usually run my magnification, my scope usually between like 18 and 20-ish. So the red dot allows me to point the rifle in the general direction of the target, so that when I look down in the scope, I can see the target right there, and I don't have to hunt for it. So there's guys that don't need a red dot, but I just like the red dot, and it looks pretty dang cool. So that's why I run the red dot, but mostly for quick acquisition. And I do also have the Eric Cortina tuner on there. Eric Cortina is a local here in Texas. Amazing guy. I just appreciate this. I do like Aaron Hipp's tuner too. I've run that on one of my rimfires before, but I prefer the EC tuner a little bit, just because it's a little bit more, I guess it's a little bit more flush, and looks like there's not this thing sticking out. Big thing, I guess. This is kind of big too, but it looks a little bit more uniform with the barrel, so to speak. So that's what I'm running with as far as my tuner, which I think is very helpful with a 22, since you can't do load development. Let's see. I do have, instead of running I think it's a 1/2 inch by 28 is usually what people run with rimfire. As far as the thread, I run a 3/4 by 24. The reason for that is, like, I think I've read it. Well, first of all, it was recommended to me by David, and then I read about it. How if you take too much off of the muzzle, it can increase the bore diameter inside and possibly cause accuracy issues. So I'm running a 3/4 instead of a 3/4 24 instead of a 1/2 by 28. I do have a KMW bottom metal. Terry Cross, he's an amazing guy. He makes awesome bottom metals, and as you can see when I put in the magazine, there's very minimal. There's still play. There's gonna be play with like any bottom metal, but with the KMW bottom metal, there's less play, I believe, than most bottom metals, which allows me to load onto the magazine when I'm shooting off of a barricade, which is very helpful. I used to have the Air 419 barricade stop over here, but I just like it bare without the barricade stop, and like with the KMW bottom metal, I'm able to load into the mag and not have any issues. So I do appreciate the KMW bottom metal. And then, of course, I think I told you guys about my trigger tech. I run it between 8 to 10 ounces. I don't want to go lighter than that, because I like to load my fingers onto the trigger. Maybe I might do a video in the future about like my process in loading onto the trigger. A friend named Dan Jarecki gave me his technique about like loading the trigger like halfway in ounces, and then slowly like pulling it. So it's a whole process, but it's a pretty cool process, which I believe maximizes my accuracy. as much as possible. So maybe we could do a video on that. That's his. Dan was the one who gave me that idea during one of his classes, and I don't want to give it away without his permission. So I guess I kind of did give it away, a little bit of it. I guess not fully. So sorry, Dan. Anyways, I do have the Harris bipod. It's like, why are you running a Harris bipod on a $8,000 rifle when you could be running an MDT Skypod or an Atlas? I mean, part of it is just like, it's the cost, and I do like that it's very just simple. I feel like it's maybe a lot more simpler than the Atlas, the Skypod. Less, well, maybe not less moving parts, but it's just, I feel like it's more stable. But if I do get a Skypod in the future, I'm sure I wouldn't complain. But I've been running a Harris for the past 4 years, 3 years of doing PRS, and it's never failed me. And it's a great bipod. And I do have the 90 degree. I don't have the new 360. I just prefer the 90 degree. That's what I've been running. And I do have this Coltac, this little Coltac dope card holder, which is super helpful. Like, it can fold. I don't have to worry about taking it off, especially when shooting in a barricade. Like, it can just fold. And then I also have this spur bubble level on top that I can look at with my peripheral vision while looking at the scope. I usually like to keep both of my eyes open when I'm looking through the scope. So with my peripheral, I'm looking at the bubble level while looking at the target on the scope. So I prefer to run it over here. So when I'm looking at it, let's say this is the reticle, the bubble level is right here in my peripheral, right in the top left. And then my dope card is going to be in the bottom, or the left side. So if that makes sense. Maybe I could do another YouTube video on that in the future. Which, by the way, this is my second YouTube video, so I'm very excited. Thank you guys for the ones that have liked the first video or followed me already. Appreciate it. You know, I'm not here to make money at all. Anything else, YouTube demonetizes gun content, so I just want to do this to be helpful, and especially to shooters that want to go to the next level. Maybe I could give you guys something that's beneficial and helpful. And I do want your feedback. I don't care if you guys are mean about it, so to speak. You know, give me feedback. I do appreciate feedback, and I want to be teachable, and I'm a new YouTuber, so anything helps. I do have my Rebad cheek pad. Love Rebad. They're local here in Texas, so I want to support them as much as possible. And this thing is just comfortable in your cheek when you're shooting, so I do appreciate that. And I am running 7 magazines. It's like, why do I have 7 magazines? Well, I like to load all of them before matches so that I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to worry about loading them again after every stage, and it just, I guess, just one less thing to worry about, especially in a competition when a lot of it is mental. If I have less things to worry about and focus more on shooting, that's a lot better and allows me to just focus. I'm also running the SK long range. I have tried the Midas Plus, Lapua Center X, they're awesome, they're great. I have never tried Lapua Exact. I've tried the different SKs, but the SK long range seems to shoot the best on this. It gives me the most consistent ES and SDs, especially shooting out 200, 300 yards. It's been very consistent for me. So I love the SK long range, and it's a lot cheaper than, maybe not a lot, but especially nowadays with the whole craziness with ammo. But it's still cheaper than the Lapua Center X and Midas Plus, and it shoots better than my rifle, so I guess I got lucky. I like it, and it's hot here in Texas. This week it's gonna get to like 100 degrees, and I have a competition next week. But I've been shooting this summer, and I've heard of some guys having problems with it going supersonic, but I haven't really had that problem. I put mine through the chronograph, and the most I've gotten was 1120. These SK long range match usually run harder than the Lapua Center X or the other or SK brand, but it's still below supersonic. It's still subsonic, especially even in the Texas heat. So it's been pretty consistent for me. So I like SK long range. I'm a big fan of it. Some guys don't like it. It's like, you know, if you don't like it, you know, then you can give your SK long range to me. I'd gladly buy it from you. Moving on, I guess I wanted to show you guys that my bags that I run. I have the WeBad pump pillow. I also have this WeBad, I forgot what it's called. I think it's called the Milk Toast, and inspired by Regina Milkovich. I hope I said your name right. This is good for shooting in tiny little portholes where you can't fit a bag like this. I do also run the Armageddon gear medium, so sorry David Luiz and Robert Badgett. I'm two-timing. I'm running Armageddon gear and WeBad at the same time, but who knows, maybe I might switch gears next year. But this has been really good. I've been running the Armageddon gear for the past 2 years, so it's all I've known, and it's very heavy. I think it weighs like 7 pounds. It allows me to just be very stable, especially with my 20-pound Voodoo over here. This weighs about 20 pounds. I do have a Kestrel Elite 5700, which allows me to store multiple profiles on here, especially if I'm running different ammo, different type of rimfire ammo, which is very helpful to have. I do have my fix-it sticks in here, and then I was able to get my rifleman badge from Appleseed a few years ago. Some of you guys may be familiar with Appleseed, but they do great work with teaching fundamentals and teaching about U.S. history, or history, like basically history in the 1700s when the U.S. became independent. So they do a very great job of telling stories and keeping that tradition alive. So I'm very proud of my rifleman patch. And then I have a short action precision mag holder, just in case I have just in case I have issues and I need to take out my mag and put in a new one. I also have one for my Kestrel right here. But I think that's pretty much it. Again, I wanted to give you guys the gear that I run. Hopefully this is helpful. There's other people that run similar gear here in Texas. It seems like the Oklahoma and Texas guys are always running foundations. But I love my foundation. I may be a bit biased because they're not too far away from me. But I know of other guys that run different chassis and stock systems, and they do really well. But for me, this is what works for me, Centurion. I especially love the wide fore end. It's very helpful. I run the arc rail on the bottom, and that's pretty much it. I hope this has been helpful for you guys, and thank you for supporting this YouTube video. Again, I'm probably not gonna make money, or if I do make money on this, like, it's probably gonna be very little. So I'm just doing this to be helpful. We don't have that many rimfire content on YouTube. The ones that are there are amazing. I love them, and I love watching them. But I think the more that we have, the merrier. So that's why I made this channel. It's because I just wanted to do it for fun too. So hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't. Looking forward to giving you guys more content.